showing out, making moves, no doubt. FFA pride, it's what we're all about. From classroom dreams to real world flair, we got the stories you won't find anywhere. Beyond the jacket where the stories unfold, voices of the future, fearless and bold. Tune in now, let the passion ignite. It's more than a jacket, it's a way of life. Beyond the jacket where passion meets purpose.
Welcome back to Beyond the Jacket podcast. Thanks for joining us again on another Friday. We have an awesome guest with a super diverse SAE today, Jackson Ritter. So excited to learn about your swine production SAE. Why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jackson Ritter. I'm from Fortville, Indiana, and I'm part of the Mount Vernon Fortville FFA chapter.
Nice to meet you, Jackson. Thanks for coming on the podcast today. Are you excited?
Yes, of course.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump into it and learn a little bit about where you got started in your FFA journey. Did you come from an agriculture family? Was your first experience in the classroom? What did that look like?
For me, my agriculture journey started very young. I've been raised on a farm since the day I've been born, so I've always been around agriculture. But when it was time to get into FFA, my parents actually, neither of them were really FFA members. My dad really just did livestock judging. He wasn't even really an officer. So FFA was an entire new experience for me when I got to do it. And so we didn't really know much. So when my ag teacher came to me and asked me about doing an SAE, because she knew I worked on a farm and lived on a farm, I said yes immediately. Well, I guess I was kind of voluntold. So already raising show pigs, my dad had been. So I thought that was a great place to start. I bought a few sows, and now we're here. So.
Well, that's awesome. Neither one of my parents were in FFA either. My start and love for agriculture came from growing up in a family deeply rooted in the industry and production agriculture. So I resonate a lot with kind of your journey and how that all started out. Tell us about your SAE. How did it start? What kind of started your interest there and how it's grown through the years?
Yeah, so I've always been infatuated with livestock. I'll tell anyone that livestock is my biggest portion and why I love agriculture so much. But specifically what really sparked my interest was just being able to show in 4-H is what I would say. But I think differently than most people. My dad works at United Animal Health, and he's really been rooted a strong production mindset into me. Even though we've not necessarily had production animals, I really understand what needs to happen there. So for me as a person running their SAE, I focus on both the show ring, but also still making functional, production-oriented livestock that are still going to be feeder pigs at the end of the day, and they're still going to go hang carcasses. So keeping that functionality and being producer-driven first, because in all reality, all our livestock, even though if we present them and make them look all pretty for the show ring, they're still going to be in our supermarkets.
Absolutely. Man, coming from a cow-calf operation and showing through FFA and 4-H as well, that's so true. I would listen to my mom. We'd go to little jackpot shows on the weekend. She'd be like, that heifer will never breed in the real world, or that bull's too big, or things of that nature. And when you truly look at that, the show ring and the production side, they're truly two different worlds when it comes down to it. How did you handle that diversity in your SAE? Are you breeding stock for the show ring as well as the market? Are you trying to combine both worlds? What's get into the nitty gritty of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to combine both worlds in all reality here. Raising mostly Berkshires. Berkshires are really known for, if you didn't know already, insane meat quality and marbling. So they're basically like the Wagyu cattle of the pig industry. So being able to take Berkshires, show pigs, but now testing them for their meat quality, understanding how good their meat quality is, and then breeding for that, you can both take the show pig boars that have good meat quality and phenotypically and genetically look like they would have good meat quality, be able to take them, breed them to my sows, and then still make a high quality show pig. That would be good as a meat as just a meat pig or someone to buy as a feeder pig.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a great way to combine both worlds and move forward and learn a lot from the show ring industry as well as the production side. I know there's a lot to learn managing a livestock business in high school and even as a young adult, from finances to daily care. What has kind of been, excuse me, what has been like the biggest learning curve for you? Somewhere where you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing and I need to research or find someone who can teach me.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think definitely from a nutrition standpoint and veterinary care standpoint. I mean, I think as livestock producers, we get really prideful about we know how to treat our animals. But at the end of the day, sometimes there's just nothing that's in our control. I've experienced where we've had sulfur in our water, which has provided thiamine deficiencies within our pigs, and we've had to really work through that as well as battling different parasites and infections. So being able to work alongside of that and not just being so prideful and understand, trying to think of everything really being able to understand other people, what they think is best for your animals, and honestly just let the professionals guide you in the medical areas.
Absolutely. I said the other day, the best thing you can say is, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn, whether that be in an SAE or even in life and career, and being able to take advice and take it well. That constructive criticism can really be the make it or break it moment in an operation, especially coming where there's a bunch of challenges moving forward. What's been the biggest challenge for you with your SAE, Jackson?
I think just understanding and just reacting to failure. During your SAE, if something goes wrong, and it will, I promise you, if you have a livestock SAE, something will go wrong. And personally, this last year, we haven't had as much show ring success as we've had in maybe the last couple years. So pig sales went down. And for me as a person, you don't want to, as you're looking on your AET, you want to see that growth. You want to see that number projection. That's all you really want to see. But being able to step back and being like, hey, it happens. How did this happen? How do we address this issue? And how are we going to move forward and not just focusing on the failure and reacting to it and not just sulking in it is just sometimes difficult.
Absolutely. I think I learned more in failure than I ever did in success. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but you'll never forget the lessons you learned when you were probably at your lowest mentality and moving forward. When you filled out the form to come on the podcast, which I'm so excited that you did, we get a lot of show pig students that would like to come on, and but I think this is quite unique where you're balancing production as well as show ring quality. But you also said you work a little bit with sheep production. I'm from Florida. Sheep are um, not a very big thing down here in South Florida. So why don't you educate me?
Yeah, of course. So personally, our show sheep are, I mean, they're just show sheep. There's no production value. I mean, we try to keep them as functional as they can. They have to lay them out by themselves. But their main focus is obviously the show ring. And today and age, unfortunately, the sheep industry has gone so far, especially from like a blackface sheep perspective, away from that even being the meat quality sector. So my sheep production portion is really just feeding lambs, getting them ready for shows, and making breeding decisions only specifically for the show ring.
Well, there you go. Is there one you prefer more, sheep or swine?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. They definitely have their backs and forths. I would say today is probably more of a pig day for me, but every other day it switches.
Well, there you go. No, to love both almost equally is super important. To be passionate about both. Were you an officer in your chapter? Were you the SAE kid? Who were you in the jacket, Jackson?
Yeah, so currently I'm still an FFA, and this next year I'm going to get to be able to serve as my chapter's president, and last year I got to serve as my vice president. So FFA has been a really big thing for me. And yeah, thank you. And FFA has been a really big thing for me from a leadership development perspective, not just in SAE. My chapter's just, I'm the only kid in my chapter, maybe in the last 5, 6 years, that's done an SAE. So me being one of those only kids, it's more of, I get to demonstrate different qualities rather than just my livestock background, which is really cool for me. And it's made me grow in so many different ways that I never thought I would have been able to.
Absolutely. I did SAEs, I showed livestock, I did CDEs, LDEs, ran for leadership positions. If there was any way to be more consumed in FFA, I'd have figured out how to be. I'd like to say like I eat, slept, and breathed blue and gold through my high school years, which is a good place to be. What other CDEs or LDEs do you participate in?
Yeah. Oh gosh. All right. So I'd say my most active ones, I'm not going to go and list them all, are probably skillathon, livestock judging, obviously my SAEs, my proficiencies, and then my animal science demonstration and my employment skills LDE as well. So those are my main ones that I really try to focus on. But I mean, I've dabbled in everything between dairy judging, crops judging. I mean, you name it, I've done it probably.
Well, that's good. Is there one that's near and dear to your heart that you find yourself spending more time at, maybe saying a couple more sets of reasons just to kind of fine tune yourself for competition?
Yeah, I would say livestock judging is the one that will always be dear and close to my heart. I mean, I'm honestly pretty obsessed with it. Every day, I'm just going off of sets of reasons to myself, which kind of sounds a little insane to most people, but it's just kind of me and how I function. I love livestock judging through and through.
I also did livestock judging. It was one of my favorite contests while you're trying to beat the county over, or however that goes. It's also a battle of kind of beating yourself each time. Self improvement is huge when it comes to livestock judging, and I was kind of the weird kid. I love to give reasons. I guess that's probably why I have a podcast now. I like to talk. Do you like more the placing of classes, or are you into reasons like I was?
Yeah, I think nowadays I'm definitely into reasons, but growing up, that's definitely not how I used to be. I always used to be scared of them, or I'd hate them, and my scores would be mostly off placings. But nowadays, I really like talking and giving sets of reasons.
Did you ever do an LDE besides employment skills, or for our listeners that might not know what that is, would you tell us a little bit about that LDE?
Yeah, so employment skills is basically, or it was past reform known to as a job interview. So you get to decide what your future career would be, and then you get interviewed in front of a panel of interviewers, and you're just graded off how your interview went, your resume, and your cover letter. And it's a really good opportunity, not even if you just want to go into agriculture, but it's a great life skill to be able to be able to be interviewed and have a good interview. Speaking about the other LDEs I've done, I built an exhibit with my chapter. I've done a multimedia scrapbook. I've done an animal science demonstration multiple times now. And then I did Quiz Bowl my first 2 years. So LDEs have been a really big portion of my FFA journey for sure.
I can tell you speak very well, Jackson, and you can always tell that they students that took advantage of those leadership development events and kind of fine tuned their speaking abilities. In the state of Florida, we don't have Skillathon or animal science demonstrations. You've got to educate me about those.
Yes, so Skillathon is just basically knowledge about livestock. So from meat, meat identification, breed identification, seeds, medicine labels. It really just kind of fits into just basic livestock knowledge, and then also animal science demonstrations are really cool. Um, Anything from you're notching a litter of piglets, um, farrowing out a sow, there's so many different ways you could go. There's countless numbers. You're basically taking a veterinary practice in some way, performing it, an example of it doesn't have to be necessarily the actual procedure, and then giving it to a panel of judges.
I think those are all great life skills to have. especially in the realm of your SAEs. Um, FFA has taught me a tremendous amount and sounds like it has too. Is there something that you've learned in FFA outside of agriculture that you know will benefit you in the future?
Yeah, countless things from my speaking ability, my leadership skills, but I think most importantly is building connections. I think without FFA, we get too wrapped up in, as agriculture kids, our own thing, getting really busy. FFA is a place where you have to be able to interact with people. You get those experiences and those connections I built along the way, and the ability to build those connections alone is going to benefit me so much in the future.
The networking capacity of the National FFA organization, holy cow. I mean, I have friends kind of like the reporters part of OCC from Alaska to Puerto Rico, thanks to a jacket I decided to zip up in seventh grade. And the ability to make eye contact, have a firm handshake, all the things that you think are very surface level is something FFA kind of drills in your head without you even noticing it. Um, and it's abundantly clear when you meet those students the level of poise they hold. And I know in career and in the future environments that anyone who's been an FFA gets put into, they'll be successful because of those soft skills. Is there a memory in your blue jacket that you know you'll never forget? Like the minute I said it, what popped into your head?
Yeah, actually, I think it's my first ever contest my freshman year was skillathon. And being myself, I really like to, it was kind of drilled into my head that you always got to dress for the job you want or be professional. So being a little freshman, I came in with like starch jeans, and my advisor was like, we were sitting around lunch after the contest and was like, you are such a tryhard. And that's such a fond memory of me because knowing my advisor, she was completely joking. But me as a little freshman thought she was so serious and that I was trying way too hard at this. Knowing now, I mean, I put so much more effort in than I ever could have imagined in that moment. But honestly, that was just the first one that came to mind.
That's exciting. No, that's great, and to be able to look good, feel good, provide your best every time. And my first FFA contest, I definitely didn't do that. It took some time to kind of get acquainted to how things roll in the FFA. Jackson, I've enjoyed speaking to you. And the last question I always ask guests on the podcast is, what is a piece of advice you would give to a younger FFA member? So I'd like to know your input on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether you're in the ag room or you're doing your SAE project, always listen to people that know much more than you. I've could name countless times where I've just not said a word in conversation because I'm trying to absorb as much information as possible. So be a sponge, learn as much as you can. Don't take every single opinion as the truth, but definitely listen, think it through, and develop your own opinions on those certain topics. But every conversation is an opportunity to learn as much knowledge as you want it to have.
I think that's a great piece of advice. My grandfather always told me, you have two ears and one mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak. And I think that's a great lesson for our listeners today. I hope they take that to heart when they're listening to your episode, Jackson. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I wish you the most success with your SAE projects and into the future of FFA. Listeners, thanks for tuning in on another Friday, and we can't wait to see you next week.